Okay, great. Did everybody get one of these? You guys might want to pass some. Do you want to get some? You can just pass them around. So, because this is like the best camera out there right now. Shoots fake 4K video. It's pretty awesome. And there's a Panasonic booth downstairs, right, Tom? Oh, it's right over here. So after we're done and after I'm showing you all this great stuff with Panasonic, you guys can scoot over there and check it out because it'll still be open. I'm Kristen Jensen. I'm a lifestyle and wedding photographer, and I started my business really officially 11 years ago in May. And when I started out, I started doing portrait work, and then I did a lot of second shooting with photographers, which I highly recommend if you haven't done that. How many people are just brand new, just thinking of starting a wedding business? Just brand new, okay, and then you guys have a wedding business and you just want to kind of get more business tips about how to run your business? Okay, because this is kind of more the nuts and bolts of running a business, which a lot of artists and people like us, we don't like to do. But after running a business for 11 years, it's 92% administrative, unfortunately. It's just like any other business. But I'm just going to walk you through. There's going to be some slideshows in between, and feel free to ask me a question if you want. I probably will open it up right at the end of everything and really take a lot of questions. But if you have something like burning, you want to ask me something as I go, that's fine too. Okay. I just gave Lumex and Panasonic a big plug, but that's who I'm sponsored by, which is amazing. I've been working with them for the last year, traveling and teaching photography to pros like yourself and to just the consumer who doesn't know a thing about photography. So it's been really awesome. I worked on the other side of the camera for over 20 years as a fashion model and actress. So that is really where my professional training came in with lighting, because I was literally on a set or being lit or working with a photographer almost every day. And one thing led to another, and then I got a taste of what it was like to shoot and get, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I'm an artist, I can do this. So that's how it kind of evolved. But one thing I attribute to being successful is having a continuity in my branding, and having a logo and having a name that is just continuous. And people just can't see it enough. I would say it takes people 10 times to actually see your name before they'll remember you. So you have to remember there's 10 all the different ways that you can, and I'm shameless in my marketing, and as we get there, you'll see how shameless I am. The studio logo is really critical, that you find a logo that you really like, and that it's on every single thing that you do. It's on your brochures, it's on your business card, your website, and the social networking, just wherever you're going to be actually out there and on the internet or anything in print, that you have the same logo. And then I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about advertising. When I started out 11 years ago, there wasn't Wedding Wire, which Wedding Wire is really the site to, I think, advertise on now. If you're going to pay for advertising, I think that's the one to do. It's cool because your clients can come in and give you reviews, and so all the brides, they go on Wedding Wire or The Knot, those two, and the brides look at the reviews and they really, scour through your website and everything about you, and those two websites are really good. I prefer Wedding Wire, but you can do either one. There is actually, I think, a free listing you can do on Wedding Wire too if you're just starting out, and there's actually a lot of free sites out there that you can list your website with and list your name with as a wedding photographer that you don't have to pay anything for. I don't advertise now because now my business is built up and everything I have is referral based, but those are the two websites that I would do. And I really believe in making a marketing plan. Like sometimes I would do Tuesday marketing and just say, I'm just going to work on marketing today. I mean, you have to spend a lot of time marketing, and marketing means a lot of different things. I'm going to go through and tell you the different things that I've done that worked for me. Obtaining clients that are perfect for your business. So depending on what type of client you want, you've got to figure out how they think and what they do and how they dress and what they drive, and kind of, figure out where they are, and try to find a way to get in and mix in with them and be like them. I always say, walk the walk, dress the part. It's really important that you sort of can mix amongst people. If I want to go in a higher echelon market, it's important that I dress right. I'm wearing a suit today just to prove my point that it's really important the way you present yourself is really critical. Deciding on a business name. This was always been a difficult question I get. And people ask me this all the time, what business name should I do? I would say if your name is good, even okay, I would always use your name instead of, Sunnyside Pictures or something. Do all of you have a business name? Does everybody have one? Is it mostly your own name? Okay, cool. No? What do you have? Monkey Plumber Productions. Okay, and you're a photographer. So it's kind of, but it's up to you. If you have other people working for you, it's fine. I always think it's great to brand your own name, if you can. It's really you. I think it's really important because it's just always you everywhere. People remember that. People will remember you because you're the marketing person. You're the number one person. And everything really happens through personal relationships. We can advertise on Wedding Wire, and stuff was going to happen. It's very competitive, but your real work is going to come when you have a personal relationship with someone. So that, I always think the name is like, oh, that's Kristen. Oh, that's Kristen Jensen. Okay. And then they Google it, they find my website. So it's just an easier thing to do. Having a business plan. I didn't do this initially when I started my business. I think I was intimidated by it and I didn't know how to do it. And then I did one later, and actually I'm just doing one now because I'm revamping my business, doing more coaching and teaching. So I'm adding that to my business plan. And a business plan really is a mission statement about really what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, and it sets goals. And it's really important for me, and we're all, we all are visionaries, to be able to look at something on paper. Just say, what, I want to accomplish this. I want to get 5 weddings this season. I want to get 10 weddings this season. And I want to make X dollars per wedding. And what is that going to cost me? And to really, as much as we don't want to really look at that stuff, you really have to look at it, because when you amortize your hours of what the average wedding is, I figured my average wedding with an album is 60 hours. So that 8-hour day or 10-hour day is a 60-hour gig. And it can last over a year and a half at a time. So it's a long thing. It's just, sometimes it feels like it's going on and on and on, but it can really last a long time. Whereas a portrait shoot, you get in, you get out, you're done. You see them in a couple of years when they need a new headshot or something. But the wedding really lasts a long time. So having a business plan is, I think, really important to do. And if there is templates online, I just did one. It's called Grow Think. You guys want to look at that? Grow Think. And what's cool is that you can put down some of your competitors, which is also a good thing to know, is who are your competitors? Who are these people that you think you can shoot at the same level with? And what are they doing? And what are their prices? I think when I started out, I had an intern call around to a couple studios and get all their pricing and get everything so I could find out what it costs and how are they doing things, because you want to be at the same level if that's what you're doing, and whatever level that may be. I think it's important to know your competitors, and part of this business plan with Grow Think is that you can write down your competitors, and then they'll go and do a lot of the market research for you and see kind of what the profit and loss is for them. Not that they know their books, but they can do a lot of the research, which is cool to look at. And again, seeing that and looking at really what your business plan is and where you're going with your business is, I think, critical. Have any of you hired employees? Yes? Temporarily, yeah. Yeah, subcontractors, right. So, because I have second shooters that you'd want to hire that you 1099, you give them, if it's over $600, you have to file it with the government. If you hire someone that's full-time, obviously having them on the books, it's a lot more expensive for you. which I've done in the past too. Currently I don't. I have all freelance people. And I don't have a lot of people in the office now because of the internet, and files can be transferred. My editor, I can, overnight a drive to him and he can do that. So it's changed a lot, where you don't have to have people like sitting side by side, in your office. Developing a pricing structure. This is a question I get asked a lot. And again, I think you have to know what your competition is and what they're charging. There's just no way you can just kind of randomly throw stuff out there. When I started 11 years ago, my pricing structure was in packages. So there was the prestige package, the elegant package, and the simplicity package. And I really thought that was really cool and people liked it, and I kind of beefed up each package. And in the last 6 years, I don't do packages. I custom and I tailor packages. So I have a flat rate, and it includes a second shooter. It includes the DVD of all the high res or electronical files, and it includes, what else does it include? It includes a proof book. That's kind of my package. I'm just going to pass this around if you guys want to just see my brochure and pricing. You have to have a contract if you guys haven't had contracts. I have contracts for portrait shoots and for weddings, and I'm going to show you my contract. And I'm also going to pass this book around because I have a book. If you want to get forms or get anything, it's this book that I wrote on how to start your business. It's on Amazon if you want to write it down. It has literally every form that I'm going to show you today, which is kind of cool. So here's on the business name. So I put a sign outside my house in this small town, Bethel, Connecticut, and thinking I'm just going to have this so that when wedding clients come up from the city and they're in the boondocks, they can find me. But what was really great is that so many people saw the sign, even locally, and drove by, that I got business just from having my sign out front. So, I mean, you can be really shameless with your marketing by having a sign outside your door, outside your house. So you're hiring employees. Again, second shooters it's hard to hire a person that you haven't worked with before, especially on a wedding, because you're going to have them come and second shoot with you, and they're really representing you. I mean, they are an extension of you. And sometimes it's difficult to hire someone to have them on a wedding shoot when you've never really worked with them before, because each wedding's different, and it's going 100 miles an hour, and it's going really fast, and it's like, I hope this person mixes in with me. You're just kind of on a wing and a prayer. You hope that they mix. And usually when I find really good second shooters, I try to keep them for a long time until they go and start their own business, and then I have to find a new batch of people. But I've hire assistants for photo shoots and editors. I have when I get really busy, which is this time of year, I have people help me edit. There's no way I could keep up with the editing, which was really a hard thing to do, is to let go of that, because I actually, even though editing's laborious and takes time, I kind of liked it because I could zone out and put on my music and and just really get into making it just totally perfect, But I had to let it go, and that's part of running your own business. Is that at a point you're going to have to delegate and sort of, give tasks to somebody else. And editing is just as important as shooting, I mean, how you put the story together of your wedding is, I think, really critical to the client. One of the most difficult positions I found is someone who does admin in the office. This is a very difficult when you're kind of a one-person show, is finding someone that can help you with your emails and help you with contracts and do that, because that's what we do, right? We're all by ourselves, and we're doing, we're wearing so many different hats. So that's a difficult person to find. If you do find someone like that, keep them. Make sure they're happy and keep them. It's difficult because that kind of person knows every single thing about your life, knows every single thing about your personal life and what you're charging and what you're doing. So it's a very important person to have. If you grow your business, you need someone to help you. There's no way you could be out shooting and answering questions and doing bids and putting contracts together if you really get busy, Bookkeepers, that's part of something I cannot do at all. That's my worst. That's like the worst thing I do in my business. I do use QuickBooks, if any of you are familiar with QuickBooks. I also use another company, and I just started using them last year, called FreshBooks. FreshBooks is really, really great. The only thing FreshBooks does not do is allow you to make partial payments. You have to do a new, like if you want to deposit, like it's $1,000 job, you have to make an invoice just for $500, which kind of I wasn't happy about. But that's the only thing. Otherwise, it's a fantastic program. You can hook up to PayPal, and your clients can give you, pay, excuse me, with their credit card or send you a check. So, really important. And interns are great, and Tom loves interns, and I do too. Yeah, good interns. I mean, when you I found some great interns that I've had them come for a month and say, just intern with me, and then I keep them. I mean, one went back to college, and I had her doing stuff remotely. So if you can find an intern to help you with this stuff, that'd be great. It's worth it, to try to find someone. But I probably wouldn't just find an intern that's just a photographer. Just a photographer. I would find an intern that is into marketing and very organized. And there's kids like that, that want to be in the marketing and advertising world, and that's really what you need to do. You need to find someone with a head like that can help you. And a good graphic designer, and some of you may do your own graphic design. I have someone that helps me. I've worked with her for 11 years, and I can just give her one sentence and she knows what to do. I mean, there's just, we're very much in sync. And again, she's been consistent with me in my marketing. Managing your time. This is an app that you can download. I have to put myself on a timer. And I can do that on my iPhone, just set the timer like, okay, I have 20 minutes to do this, and that's it. And I have to be disciplined, because I think as entrepreneurs, and we're running our own business, and a lot of us are working out of our house, we're multitasking. We're throwing a load of laundry in. We're going to go have a bite to eat. We're going to go play with our dog, and then it just gobbles up time all day long. So to try to do, I have to do things where I'm very focused, and when I'm multitasking too much, nothing really gets done properly. So time management is a huge thing to manage. I mean, it's just like major, because we all have days where it feels like the day just slipped away and I didn't do one thing. Those days feel really crummy. So if you can set your timer, I really recommend just try it. Just try it once and see how you do. It's kind of fun. Okay, so getting incorporated, I highly recommend. If you guys have not done that, I have an LLC. It really does protect you, and I mean, God forbid someone did try to sue you or get anything from you, you're protected by your corporation. I just think it's important to have that. Now that, again, is not too expensive. I know you can go online and do that. I think you can go to probably the state office. If you guys are from New York or Connecticut or New Jersey, you can go right to the state and go online to their site and fill out paperwork to do it. You don't have to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars to have that done. If you do want to have a lawyer, I've used LegalZoom. If you guys have ever heard of LegalZoom.com, really great, really awesome site. Oh, this is the bookkeeping. This is my favorite. Yeah, I love this. So this is just my chart of accounts for my bookkeeping, which is, not the most fun thing to do. I actually like FreshBooks a lot because it's super simple. It's like really, really easy to use. I don't know if it has big fonts or the color I like or something. Just makes it, doesn't feel so, I don't know, number-y. I do offer payment with credit cards. I try to with weddings when it's a bigger ticket item, for a deposit. I do try to get a check. If they ask me about it, if it's like push come to shove, I will do a credit card with them. But I think it's important that you do have a credit card processing system, and there's so many that you can get now. And Intuit, this one is part of QuickBooks. So, and I have that little thingamajig that goes on my phone, which is nice. So if someone says, oh, I don't have a check. Oh, really? Well, I take credit cards, which is good. Insurance. Does everyone have insurance? Yeah, really important to have insurance on your equipment and liability. And a lot of the venues that I go to shoot, and you'll have this too, where they're going to ask you for a certificate of insurance, and you're like, what's that? You know, and usually you won't know that until a couple hours before the event, or a day. You know, I mean, like it's a Saturday wedding, and you find out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon you need a certificate of insurance, and you basically can't shoot there if you don't have it. So. All I do is call up my insurance agent, they issue it to me, and it's emailed to the, you know, banquet manager or whoever's at that venue, and then you're all set to go. So that's part of your insurance policy. Isn't this fun, you guys? Don't you just want to go out and shoot? An on-camera release form, I really recommend having these. In the wedding contract, which I'll show you, I do have a checkbox that I can use the pictures for my website, and I can put them on brochures, and I can do anything I want with the pictures and with ownership. So that's covered on the wedding, but any other shoots, you should have a, you know, on-camera talent release form. And this is great because I was actually on a set, and I needed to get release forms, and there's an app for that. So if you're in a bind and you need to download and get a release form, you know, anywhere, you can do that, so there's no excuse. Right? So it's kind of cool. Proofing prints and albums. So what do you guys do after you shoot? That's always like, I don't know what to do with all these pictures. And I'm plugging Pictage, but I've used Pictage for the last 10 years. And Pictage is a company that does all my proofing, all my jobs. So my workflow is that the minute I finish editing and I batch my raw images into JPEGs, they go straight to Pictage. It goes to Pictage whether clients see it or not, because Pictage also holds all the high-res files. So it's kind of cool. They actually have everything there. God forbid a drive goes, which I've had happen. I had a terabyte go on me 3 years ago, and Pictage had all of those JPEGs. They don't have the raw files, but you know, thank God they had the JPEGs. And I know that photographers that were living down in New Orleans during Katrina, all those guys lost their stuff. And those people that were with Pictage or companies like this, they have a backup of everything. So it's kind of worth it. So what happens is once I edit the wedding and it goes online, I send it to my client, a link, and they can share the photos, and there's a shopping cart online, and they can do custom framing. They can make albums. They can order any kind of prints or canvases. And you can set your own pricing for that. So it's kind of cool. It's also good when you go to a wedding to make a card and leave this event number around, like a little, if I do engagement sessions, I'll make a little card, and then I'll have this URL of Pictage where their wedding photos are going to be. You never know. I mean, people will go on and look. There's a lot of lookers, but there's also a lot of people that might just put in a $500 print order and order a bunch of, you know, it's just extra money. It just kind of comes in. I love getting a Pictage email saying, someone bought, you know, $600 worth of prints today, and I wasn't doing anything. So it's pretty awesome. Your pricing structure. I have a little different pricing in New York than I do in Connecticut. And this is, did everyone see that? The brochure and the pricing and everything? Oh, it's still going around? Okay. So I love squares. I have a thing with squares, so everything I do is squares. My albums are squares. And I just thought that this was a nice way to put it together. And this has really worked well for me for the last, several years I've done this. And I didn't do the packages. And what I tell them is, you know what, I'm going to arrive and I'm going to do all this for you. And I also don't work by the hour. I'm there if it's 8 hours, or I'm there if it's 12 hours. I'm not going to go somewhere else. And I stay till the end. I don't nickel dime the client. I rather do the padding on that big package, you know, that package price, so it covers everything. The last thing a bride and groom or parents want to hear on their wedding night is talking about money and you staying. You know, can I stay? And it's, you know, $250 more, or, you know, it's just not, I just don't think it's a classy thing to do. So what happens is now I've been just selling just the package of myself and a second shooter and all the little things that kind of go with it. And I say, come back and do an album, because it's kind of nice if you can decide when to do the album. I found that when I added the album in the package, in the contract, sometimes the people wouldn't come back, and then 3 years later they'd come back and say, now I want my album, and the money was gone. I mean, I just forgot about it. It's hard. If you're getting paid up front and you have all that money and then you owe them at least $1,000 album, it's a drag. So for me, I decided, let's come back after and do the album. You guys are, because they're going to have more money, and it's also a good sales thing if you just want to book the job. You know what? You guys are going to have a lot more money after the wedding. Everything's going to be calm. You can come and talk to me. We'll sit down, then you can do the album. So sometimes I'll do that, and often that's worked, and I like that better. And then if it's also a client that you don't want to work with again, you have the choice. You know, you don't have to stay, because it's a long process, even making an album. I just wanted to put my family pricing on here too, and I'm kind of might go back and forth a little bit just with portrait photography, because portrait photography. Does anybody do portraits here? Yeah. So portrait photography feeds into the weddings, and the weddings get me portrait work, and it all blends together. So the more that you're shooting, the different types of stuff that you're shooting, the better. I had a realtor come to me who needed a headshot, and I did the headshot for her. 6 months later, her son came. He's an actor in the city. I did all his acting headshots. And then the daughter came a year later, and I photographed her wedding in Central Park. So you just don't know how business is going to come. So if you guys are doing kind of if you're doing this full time and you need Monday through Friday busy, you know, doing portrait work really helps. Estimates. Very often I'll have to do an estimate, and FreshBooks, which I don't have on here, FreshBooks does estimates, which is cool. So if you want to do an estimate, and then the minute they say it's okay, you can convert it into an invoice. This is a photo session contract, which I think I have in the book. You guys want to see what that is? Wedding contracts. A non-refundable deposit is absolutely mandatory. I didn't do this in the beginning, and I learned the hard way. People sometimes break up. It happens. It doesn't happen often, but it happens. So you don't want anybody changing their mind, and you've held that date, and other people wanted that date, and you've given it up, and all of a sudden they're like, we're going to change our wedding date, or else we're not going to get married. We need our money back. And you know the money's gone. What are you going to do? So I would definitely make sure that none of the deposit is refundable at all. What percentage? None.
No, I mean percentage of.
Oh, what do I do?
Yeah,
okay. How do I do it? Okay. I do 50% down, and then 25% 60 days before the wedding, and the balance of the 25% 30 days before the wedding. So I'm paid 30 days before I go. So I've had it happen twice where people broke up, and they've broken up within the 30 days. You know, you see it in the movie. You know, people who get cold feet and they break up. So it can happen. And then the albums, I put this in the contract as well, is that the albums, if you do include an album in your package, that they have to either get back to you, respond to you, or have a sign-off form from the album within 6 months from the wedding date. Now, do they do that? No. Are you going to get mad at them and not work with them if they don't? No. Because you don't want to lose a client, and you want to have a good reputation. But just by setting those boundaries and kind of letting them know and giving them a nudge, that way you don't get just knee-jerked 3 years, 5 years. I mean, I've had people come 6 years later and say, I want my album, and it's like 3 weeks before Christmas. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I don't even know where where is that JPEG? You know, it's tough. So the contract is just on my letterhead, and I just created it on Word, and I have this in the book. If you guys are passing around the book, I have a contract. This is actually I think it's only on 3 pages, but for some reason I had to do it this way. But it says the deposit schedule is how that works. and then also that I have food. I've been on weddings where they never fed us, and that makes you grouchy. I mean, I think that's really important that you have to tell them that you need to be fed and that your second shooter needs to be fed. And accident, you know, if I've a lot of clients, well, what happens if something happens to you? What happens in, you know, and it can happen, and something did happen to a friend of mine, and I covered for him, but we're all friends, you know. A lot of photographers, that's what I mean, even your competitors, we're all like friendly, and we want to work with each other because there's enough to go around. There really is. There's so many people getting married that there really is enough business. So having relationships with really good second shooters and having relationships with your competitors, you know, is great because we would help each other out in a situation that something were to happen. This one's a really long terms and conditions. This is a client shot list that I tend to overshoot, so I shoot everything. I mean, I go to town. The minute I'm just going to town and shooting just about everything I can. I shoot with 2 cameras at least, sometimes 3. And but what makes clients feel really good is knowing that there's a checklist. Now, everything that's on this list, I actually end up doing, and I have a system of how I do it. But makes them feel really good when that's in your fanny pack that day. And they might have very specific needs, you know, maybe step parents aren't allowed with this in this shot, or they want to, you know, picture of all their, you know, the people they graduated college with jumping up in the air. I've had requests like that. So there might be something like that, and you can make notes. But pretty much, I end up shooting everything, and I'm sure you guys do too. You know, kind of overdoing it. When I'm shooting the formals, I always shoot the bridal party first because they usually want to go have cocktails. So this is how I do it. And then I work with the bride's parents and all her family, and then the groom's parents and his family, and then the bride and the groom's parents together. And then I end the shoot with the bride and the groom because everybody's gone, and then it's just us, and those are the best shots. And that's where I'd rather spend my time with those pictures. The art of giving. So I probably overgive sometimes and overextend myself, but I think it's important to, if you're starting your business and you want to get ingrained and really get into your community and get known, is one of the best things you can do is give back to something. And you can use your art in that way. You could use your photography in that way. You can give to a charity that's having a black tie event and give away sessions, give portions away of a wedding, you know, give a free engagement session. I found that the more free stuff, that word free, I offer, it comes back tenfold, really comes back. So I have several different charities that I'm involved with, and it was just a really great way to get my name out there and my brand. And people noticed it. And the minute I go and photograph these people or did something for them, they're referring me to 5 other people. I mean, it just grows like that, and it feels good to do it too. You know, and it feels good to volunteer your services. So sometimes at these events for charities, I'll go and take the pictures at no fee. And then sometimes they have a fee because a lot of nonprofits actually have money. So you never know, there might be a new client for you too. But what's great is that you're working the room, and you're taking pictures, and you're meeting all the important people in your area. You're literally walking up to them and shaking their hand, and I hand out cards. I have a stack of cards with me always when I'm doing that, and I can't tell you how helpful that's been. Giving your shoots away, partnering with a vendor is a great idea. For instance, this last spring, I partnered with a venue that is right around the corner from me. It's a 5-star restaurant, and it's a bed and breakfast, and they want to get brides in. I said, let's do a champagne brunch, you know, appetizers, champagne. That's what they're going to do. And I'm doing free engagement sessions. So just to get people to come. And I walked in and told them the idea. They were like, oh my gosh, this is great. Because your vendor, the place where the bride and groom have their party, whether it's with a tent company or any venue or a banquet hall, those are your new BFFs. Those are your new best friends forever. Those people are your best referral, especially when you're starting out, because there's the protocol is a couple gets engaged, they set a date, they figure out where they're going to get married, they hire a photographer. That's how it goes. So it's a direct beeline of a stream of business. And it's just, I can't tell you how fantastic it's been. I'm going to show you down as we get down a little further about what I do for the vendors. And part of my workflow after I edit the wedding and put it on Pictage is I have a list of those vendors that were at that wedding that I need to follow up with. Because you know what? Nobody does it. Nobody does it. And every vendor I go to, they always say, oh, thank you, Kristen. We really needed great pictures of our venue so we can sell the space more, so we can recommend you more. I mean, it's just perfect. And I do it for the florist too. I'll do it for the florist, for the band. Whoever's there, gets pictures, because it always comes back. And I've had referrals from all different people, not just the venues. Giving a percentage of your profits to a charity. This is something I'm going to be doing, actually, and I didn't tell Tom about it yet, but I'm going to tell you later. But this is part of my new business plan, that I'm going to be giving some proceeds that for every job that comes in goes to a charity. So it's kind of exciting. And the silent auctions, again, I think probably everybody, wherever you are, whether it's in the city or you're in the suburbs, there's going to be silent auctions and a lot of charity events, and there's a lot in the fall. So now's a good time to actually look into it and see what events are happening in September and October, November. It's a big fundraising time. And I've done a lot with Susan G. Komen for breast cancer, and this has been a great thing for me to do. And again, thank God I don't have family with breast cancer, and it's never entered into my life. But I started doing this and taking pictures of women with breast cancer because I didn't know that women that were 24 years old could have it. And so I photographed them, and then one thing led to another. So every year I have a show, and it's been great. I mean, 2 hours we raised just from the pictures $10,000. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And this has opened up a lot of doors for me. So capturing portrait clients, which is also capturing your wedding clients, because you're doing portraits for. I think it's important if you guys join the chamber, wherever you live, your local chamber. It's usually anywhere from $200 to $400, but it's important to get involved with other people in your community and business people to know what you do. Because what you want is people, when they think of photography, they actually think of your name. That's it. Just the minute they think of photography. You can create a local story of interest. I was fortunate because I was a model actress turned photographer, so that was kind of a spin. But if you could find something that your local newspaper, some kind of story, something that makes you different. A lot of times what makes you different is that you're giving back something, and that's really great publicity, to have somebody write a story about you, and get it out to the newspapers. Your client relationships, again, your relationship with your vendor is critical. I mean, there's people going through those venues almost on a daily basis, getting married, thinking about getting married there. And if they saw pictures of your pictures, you have a really good chance of getting a referral. And I'll show you what I do for those relationships. Direct mail. I think if you advertise for the Knot and Wedding Wire, you can get a direct mail. You can get a snail mail address of the brides. And if you I did this originally when I started my business, is that I snail mailed brochures to them and with a handwritten note. I think direct mail is on its way back. I think people like to touch something and feel something, and email blasts are still good, but how many times do we get email blasts? And we just delete. I mean, it's just, I think it's reached its peak, and there's nothing better than if I got a brochure in the mail and I was getting married and I got a handwritten note from the photographer, I would probably call him. I mean, I would just love that because I would feel really special. excuse me, there's photography associations to be involved with, and local small business expos, which would be great. You guys have those, and that, like, your chamber probably have something, but have a table there, you know, get out in the public, meet people, have a poster of your work, have your, you know, a lot of times I'll have a slideshow running, and then at least I'm meeting people face to face. They recognize the logo again, you know, the name, you know, we're probably on like 6 times now. We've seen my name somewhere. So this is portrait marketing, and I'm going to show you one on wedding marketing too. Creating FaceTime is the most important. So FaceTime meaning real time, going in and actually seeing someone and having a relationship with them and shaking their hand and, you know, saying, hey, I want to come by and see you for a minute. Now, if you're second shooting, you're just starting, I'm fine with my second shooters using the pictures, and as long as they're not on their website, because my client wouldn't want that. But if they want to use the pictures for anything else, slideshows or to get other work or put albums together or get weddings, and that's great. So second shooting will be your best way to kind of get that done. Branding and logos, we go back to that again, how important that is. I have the green logo for like my main website, and then I have the luxury wedding logo that's still KJ for my weddings and events. Continuity with your website. I think I have my other website on here. This is my main website, which I'll give you guys cards if you want afterwards. After today, I'll give you some cards. Social networking. I have 2 Facebook pages. I have a Kristen Jensen Productions, which is my main business, and then I have a Kristen Jensen Luxury Weddings, which is another Facebook page. So I separate those. Numero Uno, your contacts. So this is probably the most important thing of today. One of the most important things is that you collect your contacts. You collect your business cards and every single person you meet, and you put them into a database. That's critical. I mean, I have in my office just like a bucket that I could just throw business cards in. And then once a month, every 6 weeks, I go through and, you know, if I have to follow up right away, of course I do, but if I don't, then it goes into the database, and that builds your people. That's your email list. That's your news blast or your direct mail marketing snail mail list. Really important, because you just don't know who your next customer is. You just don't know. So I started the email blast. I use Constant Contact. I started in 2009, and I have 5,000 people on my contact list, and then I can separate them if you want, just for your wedding people. I just did one this spring that was just for the vendors, just saying, look what I can do for you, you know? And different themes and promotions. I do, you know, Mother's Day and Father's Day and different promotions that I'm doing. I do a lot of business portraits, and all these people know somebody that's getting married. There's just definitely, it just happens. I mean, I have a shoot, and then the minute the minute I tell them they say something about someone getting married, I go, oh, do you know I shoot weddings too? Or if I'm on a wedding, do you know I shoot portraits too? So it kind of works out nice. And senior portraits are great too. I don't know if you guys do that, but that's really fun. This was the newspaper article I did that kind of created a buzz. This is a magnet that I had on my car, and I drove around with this magnet on my car for 6 years, and I can't tell you how many people called me because they saw my magnet on my car. And again, this was my older logo, but it was the same. Everything looked the same. It looked like the sign outside of the house. It looked like this in my ads. And if you shoot for local magazines, that's really a great thing to do. That really helped build my business, is shooting for local magazines. And I would just barter with them for ad space, because they don't really have the money to pay. But it's really great because you can put all your wedding pictures and do an ad in there, and they nice coffee table magazine in your area. They lay around and people look at them, and I've got a lot of business that way by doing that. So getting involved locally is really important. Submitting your work for editorial is just equally as important to do. your vendor relationships, wedding planners. I've worked with probably 3 different wedding planners, and that would be somebody who, if you had a brochure, that you snail mail it, or you go meet with them in person and say, hey, can I come by? I just want to show you my slideshow. Do you got 5 minutes? And go in, and that's who you want like a face-to-face connection with. And bridal shows and expos. I haven't done a lot of bridal shows, but I know photographers that book weddings right then and there. So it's something to look into. And maybe you could partner, if you don't have the budget, partner with a vendor, partner with a florist or a DJ or someone else, and see if they'll share a table with you. This is just a slideshow of some of the He's a wedding photographer, right? Their cell phone. I mean, 11 years ago, I was saying put those little disposable Kodak, cameras on their table. Now I'm just like, oh no, just show up, because it's like paparazzi. Everybody's a photographer, which I don't mind. I just let it go. There's some photographers that get kind of crazy about it. The only time I don't like it is when the bride and her father are coming down the aisle. That's not fun. If you guys have experienced that, and you see people's arms in this, and I'm, hey, what can I do? But otherwise, I don't mind it. It's totally no big deal. And often they'll say, can you take a picture for me with my iPhone? And I'm like, yes, I'm fine, I'll do that. So this is the wedding marketing plan, and again, it's FaceTime. And then the other big piece of this marketing pie is creating vendor connections. I'm just going to keep saying that, how important that is. Now, for instance, in my area, I live in a little town about an hour north of here. There's probably 10 venues that I work at regularly. So those are 10 people that I got to keep up to date and make them books and make them brochures and get them information. Really, really important. Website and blog updates, email blasts a little bit, post-wedding marketing. I guess that could go into the blog category. And again, my clients are fine with using that because they've already said it was okay on the contract. And then the free wedding websites. So I think Wedding Wire does offer a free listing, so you might as well use it. And then I would just Google other free wedding websites that you can be on there. You know, have your name, because you just can't be enough. Because when people Google your name and your business, those will come up too. Those sites will come up. Your consistent visuals, your business cards. Which does anybody use anymore? Business cards? I guess they do. Do you? You use a business card? So you guys saw my brochure. And a website. Now I have a separate website for weddings and a different website for portraits. And I really felt I should separate them because it's completely, even though the clients do cross over, there's some advertising and lifestyle assignments. They're going to say, oh, you do weddings? Oh. You know, they just have like kind of a weird feeling about it. And then same with the girls that are looking for wedding photographers. They really want you to only do, they love it that you only do weddings, that you live and breathe weddings 24/7. So just kind of something to think about, that you're really, if you're going to be a wedding photographer and that's really what you want to focus on, that you really go 100% with that. And again, I mentioned this before, just having separate social media just targeted for your weddings. I think Pinterest is huge. All the girls that I know guys, there's a lot of guys in here, and Pinterest probably isn't a place that most of you guys want to hang out, but women love it, and they're looking for ideas, and they're looking at venues. I mean, you could suggest this to your vendors, even saying, please get a Pinterest page, and here's some pictures, here's some great still lifes for you. This is a place called the Waterview that's up in Connecticut, and I did this is the front and back, but it was like an 8.5 by 11 just sheet, like this, front and back, and it was just pictures from a wedding, and I actually put their logo on it and my logo, so it almost looks like we're merged together, and I just brought it to them. I didn't ask them. I just kind of took it in my own hands and brought it to them. They're like, oh my God, this is awesome. And so everybody that comes there, and they want to close a deal too. They're after the same client that we are. They hand them that, and the bride and groom walk away with that and have your name right there. So it's really important. Doesn't take a long time, and it's super inexpensive to make. This has been the best thing I've done, is work with my publisher or Apple Books, and I make them a book of the wedding. And when I say of the wedding, I'll do rooms like this, like of people dancing, showing the rooms, all the tabletops, all the detail shots, the food shots even, of their place. And people love this. I just think it's fantastic. Getting published is important because a lot of people see it, and it's just great marketing for you. Amazing marketing. Meeting your brides and grooms. I have found that I book more brides and grooms when they come to my place than when I go out. I don't know why. Sometimes I have some of my friends that are competitors say I meet them at Starbucks and I book the job right there. It's really up to you. I think that by them coming to you, and if you have a studio, or if you don't have a studio, maybe partner with a friend that has a studio and have them come to a professional establishment. It sets the tone. You're in charge, A. B, if you can have all kinds of stuff like hot coffee and tea and cookies, and that's what I do. And most of the weddings I book are right after Christmas, because that's the highest time to get engaged, Christmas and Valentine's Day. And it's in the winter, and I have a fire going in the fireplace. I mean, chocolate chip cookies in the oven. You walk in, it's so homey, you don't want to leave, and they don't want to leave because they're having so much fun. And I don't usually talk about anything about myself. I don't tell them like, oh, I do this, I do that, I offer that. I just ask them questions and let them talk about themselves. And sometimes we don't even talk about the wedding, but I just always, well, really, what do you do? And how did you guys meet? And how did you do that? And people love to talk about themselves, and it gets them really loosened up. And the more they loosened up they get, the more trusting that they'll be with you and feel really confident. I mean, I've had it where we ended up talking about something completely off subject, and then I'm saying, oh, do you guys want to look at pictures? And they're like, oh, no, we're fine, we'll book you. I mean, it's crazy. It's really an emotional connection with a bride and groom, because it is a major day. I just came off like 5 weeks of shooting weddings every Saturday, and every time I'm at a wedding, I'm always just kind of in awe that they actually had me there to witness and be with them that close and intimate. And sometimes we look at it just like they're just clients, but it's a major day for them. I mean, it's the biggest day of their life, and they're trusting you to document it. So it's a huge task, and it's a privilege to be there and do it, but they want to really feel comfortable with who they're going to have. And I think that having that relationship, having them come into your home, or if you don't have the right home or you don't feel comfortable at your place, having a place that they could go to where you can really chill and talk and spend time is critical. Throw stuff in to close the deal. This has been since 2009, since the recession years. You got to throw stuff in to close the deal. And I always throw in an engagement session. I just think that that's like really cool. And what I usually say is that I want to photograph you guys because I want to get to know you and I want you to know how it feels to be photographed. And I know it's not comfortable. It's probably one of the most uncomfortable things in the world. I did it for a living and it was uncomfortable. I mean, people generally don't like to have their picture taken, and they're very uneasy and nervous about it, or self-conscious. So by going and saying, I'm going to put you at ease, we're going to hang out, I want you to wear jeans, we're going to go out and shoot in a field, I take them to the beach, wherever they want to go, and I really get to know them. Sometimes we'll go out and have lunch, and then the day of the wedding, it's like completely chill, because I show up and they know me and I know them. They know my energy. They know how I kind of pose people first. They know I stand there first, light it, and then go back and photograph them. Just, they'll know just how you are, and it's something that they feel really, they feel more trusting. They're like, wow, you really want to do that for us? That's really cool. So now I've even beefed up the deal. If they're still a little hesitant after that, I say, well, let's do a bridal beauty shoot. And that's included too. And you can come to my studio, and each girl, before she gets married, usually tests a makeup artist out or a hairdresser. And so what I say is, have them come here. Have your makeup artist come here, and let's do a beauty shoot that day, and I'm going to help you with posing. So you're going to look great for the camera. And they're just like, really? They're like, wow, okay. So that's something I add, and they really like it. And whether they do it or not, I mean, sometimes people get so busy before their wedding they don't do it. And if they don't do it, then I'll give them a print credit or give them some extra pictures on Pictage or something, to make up the difference. But it's not really any sweat off me if they come to my studio. I have a home studio. It's not really a big deal. I'm I'm upstairs working in the office. They're downstairs getting their hair and makeup done. I go in. I mean, how long does it take to do? It's half an hour of my time, and makes them feel really great. Pre-marketing your event, you can get, if you're using Pictage, and then there's other companies out there that do this, so it's not just Pictage. But you can get your couple to get friends to sign up for the event, so that when the wedding is actually released online, everybody gets an email. You can also collect emails at the event, almost like a guest sign-in book. You can collect emails if you want. If they don't mind, you have to ask them. Or you can make those cards like I suggested with the URL on the back of the cards. I just thought I'd put this in there. I know it seems really basic. This is kind of going back just to the wedding day of shooting and prepping and making sure everything's packed. And I do this the night before, because I've made the mistake once of having my batteries on a charger not in the same outlet that I usually use. Okay, I check, because I have to have, everything has to be a system of exactly how I do things, exactly the same way. And I left the house without any camera batteries, and that was really shocking to get to the venue and realize that the batteries are gone. And thank God, there was a photographer friend who actually used to second shoot for me in the area, and he came and brought me camera batteries. He had the same camera, so it was like he only was like 20 minutes away, so it was a godsend. But just having everything packed, and having snacks and power bars and water, because even if you do eat, you're the last person eating, as you guys know. Food is very important, and filling up your car with gas before you go that day. I know these seem like dumb things, but they're all the things that I have done and made mistakes with when trying to leave for a wedding. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I'm running late and I have to go get gas. All right, that's fun. Love that. Dressing the part. I always wear a suit, so I wear something like this, a black suit. But I always wear sneakers because you're on your feet. It is brutal. I don't know if anybody feels like that, but after a wedding, and I just did one last weekend that was 12 hours. It's 12, and everybody else is fine. Everybody else at the wedding, of course, is fine, but they're drinking. They're having fun. And you're like standing there for 12 hours. So I really think it's important to have really, really good shoes. This is a shot list I made for my second shooters, because I find that there's certain shots that I use and do for every wedding. And there's certain still lifes I want, there's certain shots I want, and I want the person that I'm shooting with to be on the same page, kind of copying the same style, so it doesn't look completely different when I mix all the pictures together. So shot list is really cool, and even doing this, even if you just did it for yourself, it just gives you a sense of confidence because you know, okay, I've got that shot, I got that. Because when I'm shooting, and I'm not sure about you, but when I'm shooting, I'm already creating a story. You know, I'm already thinking of it like, could this be an 8-page magazine story, and how would I make it look? You know, because you really want those money shots, but you still have to get all the basic, you know, the candids and then the headshots, you know, with the bridesmaids or the groomsmen. So this is the formals, different formal shots, and all the different reception shots that you have to have. Oop, I'm going to go back to that. I have to tell you a story. That was icky, wasn't it? I have a story. There's so many stories because I've shot, you know, over 500 weddings, and there's a lot of stories with people, but one that sticks out probably the most to me is this couple got married, and it was in the afternoon, and it was on a Sunday. And afternoon weddings are usually a little bit more boring. They're not as lively because people don't drink, but that was not the case with this crowd. This crowd they were big time partiers, and they drank a lot. And towards the end of the wedding, the groomsman was just doing this with his ring and thinking he was really cool. You know, I find this happens too with grooms. They're like, oh my God, I got a wedding ring on, geez, what am I gonna do? And he just decided to toss it up in the air and catch it, and then he decided to toss it up in the air and catch it with his teeth. And that's what happened. We wound up at the hospital, seriously. We wound up at the hospital because he swallowed his own wedding ring. It's kind of gross. Kind of gross, but it makes you kind of laugh. You edit your weddings ASAP. Oh yeah, and put your images on your blog. That's important too. That's a hard thing to keep remembering to do. Upload your pictures to Pictosh or any other online service that you can find. It's a very competitive market, so it could be any of them. These are the photography associations that I'm involved with, and PPA is really great. It's Professional Photographers of America, and they have insurance plans on there, and they have legal fees. Not legal fees. Not actually, they don't have legal fees, but they have lawyers on staff. So,
It's for their indemnification.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It's really great, and I've used them. Sometimes I'll get questions like when the client came back 6 years later after and wanted 3 albums, and it was 6 years ago, and I was just, oh my gosh, and it's Christmas time. And how am I going to make these albums? You know, do I owe him that? Do I owe him? Can he pay some? Could my album pricing has gone up over 6 years? I mean, what can I do? I called PPA. I called their law, you know, program, and they really helped me. It's amazing. I send thank you letters, and I send a lot of handwritten notes, and I do snail mail my contract. So once they say they want to book me, I have a folder, which I should have brought, but I have a folder. And I put the brochure in there, and I put 2 copies of the contract, one that they keep and one that they mail back to me with a self-addressed envelope. And I usually have this letter in there, or I send something like this after. I have different types of letters like this that I write on. But people love handwritten notes and really personalized touches. This was a promotion I did when I just turned 10 years. So these are all my pictures, some of my pictures, that I did this for an email blast. Shoot with Lumex. I gotta plug Lumex because Lumex is so good to me. Do you guys know anything about it? Do you know anything about these cameras? Yes? No? Kind of? Not really? Mirrorless, lightweight, really cool. About, I don't know, a third of the price for the system? About half? Yeah, it's probably about half the price to get into a whole system with the Lumex. And they have a battery grip. They're smaller, but they do feel like a SLR camera. They shoot in RAW. They have amazing lenses. They have the best video. I think much better video than an SLR camera, especially for focusing, which is really difficult to do. You get to lighten your load and you get to be ahead of the curve. You get to be like a trendsetter, because I think that's what's going to be happening with photography. It's definitely going to be more mirrorless cameras and lighter weight. It's just the way it's going to go. Loving my Lumex. It does kick butt video. So dreams do come true. So that's about it. If you guys have any more questions, I'm here. But that's sort of how I started my business, and I hope it was helpful today. I hope you guys got some tips and it wasn't too businessy, you know, because all we want to do is really be out and shoot. But you know, these are kind of the nuts and bolts of sort of what you have to do to run a business. So.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.